Hello and welcome to perhaps one of the most one-sided battles in Napoleon Total War multiplayer history. I'm not sure if that's a bragging right, so you'll see who's going to win in a few moments. I won't give us away, but just to give you an outlay of where things began, I basically began all deployed on this hill, and my opponent, since he was the host, he actually rather bizarrely didn't put himself on the defending side. As you can see, the defense for this, if you just look at the minimap, it's incredible. You're basically deployed behind a river on a plateau. There's very little a person can do. And so I just hit the start button as soon as I could, so he had very little time to actually set up his men for attack. And as soon as I saw that he was trying to rejoin his armies, I actually had to come in between them to basically divide them up. And you can see he's trying to fan out his 6-pounder horse as well as his horse dragoons and lancers, and I just came in, I pounced right onto his 6-pounder horse, and right from there I'm getting volleys from my light foot, and as soon as he starts to come up this declivity I send in my reserve cav. It's just terrible. My 15th Hussars, or King's German Legion of Light Dragoons, sorry, they just come in for his general staff. First thing, they take him out, and they're caught in a very tough position. The 6-pounder horse are losing men. Their general dies, and the morale of these guys just plummets right after that. Some of them do make it up, but I formed square just to ward them off. And he actually comes between the fire from my Lightfoot, my horse, and his own line. And I just basically decide to withdraw. I actually don't lose one horse regiment. This one that's just broken up, it's going to start coming back in just a few moments. But yeah, if you look at the minimap, I've basically come in between the connection of his two armies. So he didn't manage to make the crossing. He was kind of too late to come in. And notice how I even haven't used my foot guards or Coldstream guards. I basically brought a brigade of elite infantry, but so far they've just been deployed right in the back, and here comes my reserve as well as my general, which I thought I actually brought up much sooner. But these guys, they're going to stop routing pretty soon. They haven't lost all of their men, and it's only 21. It's only 21 men, so when they come back, they're not going to be a decisive factor in the... Yeah, they just came back. They're not going to be a decisive factor. But my other horse cav, they're pretty much untouched. They still have the majority. These guys only lost 2 men. And so far, he's just trying to set up what he's going to do on this side. And I think pretty much after I divided his army like this, I came in between them, he just lost his morale completely. I mean, his morale plummeted, as in not the morale of his men only, but just psychologically he was beaten. So you can see he's kind of comatose right now. He doesn't know what to do. He had quite a bit of artillery, but he lost most of them. This was a no rules battle, so he brought 2 6-pounder horse. And here finally I unlimber my 5-pounder howitzers and I go straight after his lancers. It's a pretty small detachment over here, so I'm not in too much of a hurry to nullify these guys, but I'm wondering if these guys are going to make a crossing. So what I'm going to do is basically try and set up a battle group over here, just so I can basically preoccupy him with focusing on this rather detached kind of force. And then, hopefully, I'll go in and I'll make a crossing. But you can see his morale, I mean, that's 120 men out of 160, and they're already really depleted. So he saw that I was focusing on this flank, like moving my cavalry around to that part, and he thought that I had completely forgotten about this. So I immediately get these guys into skirmish mode, move them up, and bring in line support from my regular foot. And he's caught in a very awkward position. So right now it's actually him who's going to be focusing on this side of the battlefield, because let me see. Yeah, on this side of the battlefield he only has lancers, Prussian Fusiliers, his 6-pounder horse, as well as just one single musketeer unit. And I'm basically going to start my attack on this side because he doesn't have any regular foot infantry, and these guys, oh my god. This is a point where I come in full force with my line infantry as well in support of my light, and I focus my 5-pounder howitzers on these guys, so you can see it's quite a massacre. Let me just take a screenshot of this. Oh god. This is just first volley from these guys. Just being... It's an entire mass rout. I've never seen a mass rout like that, and I just attacked these guys. The Prussian Fusiliers didn't get a volley off because I just basically warded them away. And now all I'm trying to do is basically make sure these guys are not going to be too much of a problem now. So this is the point where I advanced my line infantry, my foot. You could see all of them routed. I mean, wow. I don't get what he was trying to do, but I was surprised because he was just as experienced as I was. He was a 6-star general. And here come my line. Just that disruption by the cavalry gives my line enough time to come up. And that's the point where even his Prussian Fusiliers routed. The only units that he had left were this single musketeer regiment, as well as one musketeer regiment over here who stopped routing. But in terms of losses, actually, this was a almost historically accurate battle in terms of them actually not losing the majority of their men. He lost just under a third of his men, which is just 500, almost 500 men. You can see Muslim 100, 78, 78, 7. He lost 500, which is less than a third, and I lost barely any. I mean, that's a really low casualty count. And in terms of my losses, the majority of my losses were just cavalry. Even these guys, this light foot regiment was the only regiment of foot that actually got a high level of casualties. All the rest are relatively untouched. I mean, the second most depleted unit is just this foot regiment, which just lost 6 men. The other 3, the other 2 won. So this is probably the lightest casualties I've ever suffered in any multiplayer game ever. And I was actually quite surprised by how easily I won against another experienced 6-star player. So I thought I'd just record this and upload this really short, sweet video for you guys. If you liked it, go ahead and subscribe for more videos on Napoleon Total War multiplayer.
How stands the glass around? For shame ye take no care, me boys. How stands the glass around? Let mirth and wine abound. The trumpets sound.